in the armory when that was unique for 1891. But as time went on, Portland built other structures for community gatherings and cultural events. And then in the intervening years, the armory became structurally unsafe and people lost interest. And then it was also too expensive to do anything about. So if you fast forward 100 years, in 2006, the building was reborn as the Gurdon Theater at the Armory. And it is referred to as the crown jewel in the Brewery Blocks redevelopment, and it's contributed to the revitalization of the entire Pearl and River District. It is lauded as one of the greenest buildings in America and as a center for the performing arts. So what are important similarities to civic life? Well, our beginnings also reflect a singular focus in 1974. We were created then as the Office of Neighborhood Associations to support the activism of grassroots neighborhood leaders. And in 1974, as in 1890, the Bureau's creation reflected the social, political, and cultural conditions of that time. In Portland in the 1970s, I'm told, because I did not live here at that time, I'm told that there were fewer community gathering spaces accessible to Portlanders. And so the city and the Bureau elevated the neighborhood association as that space, and many great things have happened as a result. With time, however, other physical and virtual community gathering spaces have been created throughout the city. Today, we have an incredibly rich, diverse network of community, business, issue, and cultural groups for civic activism and engagement, and each are tailored to the needs and interests of their diverse members. So many of these groups have also sought affiliation with the Bureau and the city, and we agree we are stronger together as Portlanders working with each other and with their government on issues of common concern. Once established, the Bureau was also asked by the community and the city to take on additional functions, and I shared some of those functions with you at the top of my comments. So it was mentioned before, the city has changed, it's currently changing, and will continue to change. So, and I, for one, am very glad that our governance model and our social conventions are different now than they were in the 1890s. But reflecting on the Armory's history, and just very broadly speaking, the community and government determined that they needed an armory at that time, and also quickly determined that it was practical for it to serve more than one function. The community and government were also at a loss for many years as what to do about the armory when its purpose did not reflect current conditions and it fell into disrepair. And then the community and government also came back together again to reimagine this building as the crowning point and catalyst for a host of new developments for the city. And I heard tonight from Stan's remarks, and I know from the great work of the Neighborhood Association, this community is asking again, how can we share our strengths, not only for the Pearl District, but for the entire city? The way we engage civically and how we define the conditions for a livable community will change over time. Civic life takes this lesson from history and asks, can we envision ourselves as leaders in fields beyond our origins? And what ways can community and government together, again and always, and what can community and government do together, again and always, to reimagine how civic life can serve all Portlanders in these times? I'm looking forward to the Q&A.
My name is Juliette Maracchioli. I'm with the Graffiti Abatement Program, which is part of the livability program in the Office of Community and Civic Life. So the graffiti program, we're charged with a number of different things, but primarily we serve private property owners, residents, and nonprofit organizations in preventing and removing graffiti for free or at a reduced cost. We also facilitate about 2 to 3 graffiti removal and community cleanup events per month in partnership with different neighborhood associations, community groups, Central City Concerns, Community Volunteer Corps group. We work with them about every 2 weeks out in the community in different locations throughout the city. We take and we process all of the graffiti reports that are submitted to the city. Those can come in via our graffiti line. They come in through our email address, which is just graffiti@portlandoregon.gov, through PDX Reporter, which is now an online reporting platform. It's no longer an app. So we receive and process about 8,000 to 10,000 reports per year at this point. In the past year, we've removed about 8 times as much graffiti as in the year prior. So we're really working to proactively get out there and offer free or reduced cost graffiti removal assistance to the community as it pops up. We prioritize the removal of hate and gang graffiti. Please note that the vast majority of graffiti you see in Portland is not gang graffiti. Probably less than 5% is gang graffiti. We take any reports of hate graffiti very, very seriously, and we get it removed as quickly as possible, usually within an hour or two. Let's see, what else? We try to get out as much as possible and talk to community groups about the implications of graffiti. Like I said, this is a much larger setting than I'm accustomed to working in, but I'm grateful that this evening was able to take place. So we try and, have dialogues about what graffiti means and what communities want to see to beautify their spaces. We support a lot of different street art and mural initiatives by providing free anti-graffiti coatings on locations that could be a little bit more vulnerable to tagging. So if a mural went up and it was potentially a space where a lot of prolific tagging had taken place in the past, we would provide a free coating on that mural so that if it was hit with vandalism, we could get that graffiti removed without compromising the artwork on the wall itself. We partner a lot with ROC and other organizations like Portland Street Art Alliance to work on some of these projects and figure out which locations could use street art and which locations, might be a better spot for something that's maintained as clean, but not necessarily a location that would be ideal for a mural. So we work with community to figure out those decisions. Part of, we prioritize civic engagement on a day-to-day basis, and we were able to partner with over 800 volunteers last year, and are only hoping to increase that number every year forward. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Kenya Williams. I manage the livability program for the city of Portland, which also houses the noise office, the graffiti program, and also the liquor licensing program. Tonight I'll talk briefly about the noise office. And first and foremost, I have to say that noise is purely unwanted sound. And noise is a very, very complex phenomenon. It's also a very divisive phenomenon. A lot of calls we get, a lot are neighbor-on-neighbor disputes, people not liking what they hear. A lot of it is about preference. A lot of it also is about perception. One thing about noise that seems to be really interesting is that here in the city of Portland, our program has traditionally been a very complaint-driven system. It's an opportunity as we look forward to think about all the resources that are spent answering calls or answering complaints. But we also have to think about noise in other aspects, the holistic aspect of sound. What is sound? What is noise? What is noise to me may not be noise to you. So someone may have a koi pond in their yard. That provides a serene experience in their backyard. They also attract frogs, and their neighbors are highly annoyed with their frogs. True story. So our staff, they take a range of calls, from apples falling on a person's back shed, and this is not a comedy hour. But we also have folks who call, and we're not experts, so also judgmental capacity. We receive, just as this afternoon, I had the staff run the numbers, and so far, when we think about our top 5 callers of 2018, we already have one complaint already at 76 calls. So that's one person. Our North office normally gets in excess of 600 to 700 calls per year. So when we look forward to thinking about proactive strategies for noise or sound, we also have to look at the benefits. So, it's easy for us to run the numbers and look at, where's the noisiest part of Portland. But it's also time to think about where are those quiet spots. Where are those spaces where, citizens can go for refuge in the city. All of our great parks and green spaces. So going forward, some of the things that we're using, some data to make data-informed decisions about sound and about noise, but also taking time to educate our public about what is sound or how loud is loud. And that is within what we have in Title 18, which is our noise code. And as I've been having these conversations and going around the city and meeting other citizens, community members, it's been a great opportunity to give them a decibel meter and let them understand that 60 decibels is your basic conversation. But having the public go through workshops and become better equipped at understanding the noise before they pick up the phone or shoot an email to make a complaint. And in closing, I want to say that the biggest thing about noise and noise complaints seem to come from our community members who don't know each other. And a lot of this can really be alleviated if people would just come together and actually talk to one another versus weaponizing our complaint system against their neighbors.
Thank you, Civic Life. I just want to add, in January at our PDA board meeting, we're going to have a workshop digging deeper into the noise issues in which Kenya will be there. So we'll be putting information out about that as we get closer to it. I just want to remind everyone who filled out a comment card, across the top, there's check boxes. You can just help us out by checking the box of what your topic is and your question. It will just help us sort through the questions. So thank you for that. Now we're going to talk a little more trash with Kevin Lodry-Casillas. He's from the Bureau of Planning and Sustainability. And they're in charge of the trash program.
Good evening. I'm Kevin Lodry-Casillas from the City's Bureau of Planning and Sustainability, and I manage the city's public garbage can program. I want to thank you to PDNA for putting this forum together and providing me an opportunity to come out here and speak to you all tonight. We manage public garbage cans on sidewalks that are currently only available in a pretty limited number of areas within the city. Our program is one that people tend to notice if it's not working well or if it's not present at all. So we kind of want to be like referees in a sporting event where if we're doing a good job, you don't really see it so much. It's just part of the background. We recognize that having publicly accessible garbage cans can help make an area cleaner and more inviting for the people who live there, work there, shop there, or just passing through and visiting. And I want to repeat a point that's been made tonight already, that when we all work together, city, neighborhood groups, individuals, that's when we can really accomplish some good things. And I think that the public garbage can program here in the Pearl District is a great example of how that process can work. So just last year, PD&A was running their own public garbage can program without any city assistance. And they were relying on donated time and money for something that, quite frankly, really should be considered a basic city service. But by looking for ways to work together to improve availability and the quality of garbage cans, we've already started to take some big first steps and are in the process of introducing some really exciting new aspects to this program. So as a first step in the program, about a year and a half ago, the city started paying for the collection to be done by a private hauler and take that load and responsibility off